Hello, everyone. I'm Alicia Renee, and welcome back to another episode of America's 250th Red, White, and You. So, we have a couple of guests here, and they are with the organization Spreading Sunshine. We have Abigail Sacred. Is that correct? Sakran. And then we have Miss Gina Richardson, correct? Yes. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's just jump right in. Just tell me a little bit about what you all's organization is and what it entails.
So we're a local nonprofit, and we serve families that have children that are critically and chronically ill. So that looks like serving at Le Bonheur and St. Jude, and then it also looks like serving nationally through a Year of Sunshine program.
Okay. Talk to me a little bit about how this organization came to be. I kind of read a couple of details saying that it started with a family whose son had Down syndrome, and how did it begin?
So my son David, he's just turned 13, but 13 years ago we had an unexpected Down syndrome diagnosis and then several medical diagnoses, and we found ourselves at Le Bonheur. And we had so much support, like just our church helped us so much, and then just friends and family. But while I was there, we were there for 6 weeks initially, and then had to go back for some other treatment. But there were so many families who were alone, and I'd never been around any kind of like sick or medically fragile children. So it just opened my eyes to a whole new world and situation. And once David recovered from surgeries and was stable, I just had, God gave me a desire to give back to that community. And so Spreading Sunshine actually began in my living room floor with my children and 13 years ago, and then has just grown and grown. And Gina takes care of families in the hospital, and I love what she does because it's where my heart was initially. Like, I wanted to serve those families who did not have anyone while they were just in that really, really hard situation.
Can you talk to me a little bit about what type of surgery it is, or is it?
Yeah, sure. At 5 days old, he was diagnosed with a bowel disease. It's called Hirschsprung's disease. It's pretty rare. Part of the bowel was dead when he was born. So he had surgery at 9 days old to repair that. And then he also had AV canal complete heart defect, which is pretty common. About 50% of children with Down syndrome have that defect. And it was repaired here at Le Bonheur when he was 3 months old. And he just did amazing. So,
how do you feel like you gain strength through, that process? Like, that is something that's personal and near and dear to you, and you can just hear it in your voice and see it in your eyes. How does that make you feel to know that you have really overcome something that many people may not have?
Well, I'll be honest, like having a sick child was one of my biggest fears, and I can say, it was very, very difficult to go through that situation, but the Lord carried me and my husband through, and our family. We also have a daughter, Lily, and at the time she was just 3.5. My church was amazing. Just the community that I had, the church, family, friends, and the Lord. Lord just carried us through.
Absolutely. And then you all are partners. Y'all are involved heavily. As I can see, you all have a great bond. Talk to me a little bit about your role and just being alongside her throughout the organization process, the building, and things like that.
So my job came to be, I'm the family care director, and it became a job when COVID hit. So post-COVID, we couldn't get into the hospitals, and we couldn't serve families in the hospital, which was where a lot of our work was happening. And so we had to think outside the box. It's funny, it's sunshine boxes, but we did have to think outside of that. And so we started getting referrals from hospice and palliative care social workers who had families that were desperately isolated and alone, didn't have family support, were often below the poverty line or living in poverty. And so they started reaching out and referring families to us. And so we then we're able to, once the family applies, we're able to go visit with them. We're able to serve them we're able to love on them and just be the hands and feet of the Jesus to them. And so that's how my job came to be. Now, thankfully, restrictions have been lifted and we can get into Le Bonheur and St. Jude. So we do monthly meals in the Heart Institute because we love the Heart Institute because Sweet David was in the Heart Institute. And then we also do weekly breakfast at the FedEx Family House. And then with St. Jude, we just serve families individually through St. Jude.
Absolutely. How do you all come up with the programming? Are you only feeding? Are you all doing any other activities or services outside of that?
So we offer emotional, spiritual, financial, whatever kind of support we can offer, because we like to say every diagnosis that every child has is different, and what every family needs looks a little bit different. Well, some families may just need an ear and a shoulder to cry on. Other families may need like physical things like groceries or help with a light bill or something like that. And so it just depends on each individual family and where they're at, what they're dealing with, and what their needs are.
Absolutely. We know that this is really your testimony, but what has it done for you personally? How has it affected and impacted you, on a day-to-day?
Well, I think it makes me incredibly grateful to have children that are healthy, but it also has opened my eyes to a demographic, a population of people that are often overlooked and isolated and unseen. So I feel like what I can do is step into that so they don't have to be alone through it.
Absolutely. Not many people are able to be strong. I have a family who, have those different mental health issues, things that they can't control, obviously. And for a lot of people, it's either scary, foreign, or, as people would say, weird. How do you all help people to understand that things like this happens, but have a positive outlook on it, to help them move forward?
I would say that's the Lord. That's just, we have to, every step we take, we know is directed by the Lord, and we have to rely on Him. We can't offer any hope, but He can. And so we just try to partner with Him in helping people see the hope that is there, even in the midst of really dire and hard circumstances.
Absolutely. So, what are some, do you all have any activities coming up or any events that you all do annually that people can get involved in and help support?
We have a picnic coming up next weekend for our families and volunteers. It's a fun, laid-back time. We're actually doing a small worship time with that this year, so we're excited about that. We do quarterly events for our families because we recognize that while some of our families aren't ever able to attend those events, some of our families just desperately need to have community with people who understand how hard life is when you're in and out of the hospital, when you're having to make a million phone calls to insurance and doctor's office to schedule appointments to try to find a specialist that can help you with what's going on with your child. It's a full-time job. And so our goal, one of our goals and outcomes that we look for, is trying to connect families to learn to support each other too, because I don't have a child that's sick, like Abby understands, but I don't. But to be able to help families create connections with other families who have walked through similar things or are walking through similar things makes such a big difference for them.
Absolutely. You talk about the impact that you all are making and just the significance and the importance of it. How have you seen families and, children's lives change as a result of you walking in obedience and, your testimony?
I don't know that Gina might be able to speak to that better than I can, just because she's I live out of town, and so they're more involved in the day-to-day. But I will say that I do hope that our events that we have because our desire is always to come alongside families. And she mentioned, I love the group and family activities that we do host, because families who have children with disabilities or medically fragile children, they often do feel very lonely and isolated, not a lot of opportunities for those families. I find that's true for our own family in a lot of ways, and with David. So I hope and pray that our efforts to come alongside families and serve them make a difference in their lives.
Absolutely. How have you seen it in real time?
And well, I would say most recently, a few weeks ago, we had 5 of our families that were in Le Bonheur at the same time, inpatient, and 2 of the moms one little boy was taken down to emergency surgery, and the mom just couldn't stay in the room waiting. So she went down to her friend's room, whose child was also inpatient at the time, and sat with her and didn't have to be alone through that because her husband couldn't get down there because it was emergent. And then that friend, when her son got discharged, they rolled over to visit with them before they headed out. And I think that's what we love to see. We've loved to see at our events and stuff, families that would never connect outside of Spreading Sunshine, sharing tips and tricks on insurance things and accessibility things, and hey, how did you get that wheelchair, and what organization did you go through, things like that. And so it's just good because they live a totally different life than people with children that are healthy. So what their struggles are and what they deal with daily and the things that they have to just figure out, oftentimes on the fly, is different. So we like to see them just connect and be able to be a friend to each other.
Absolutely.
I do think our events offer, like, when you come in contact with another mother or a father with a child of a disability or a medically fragile child, there does seem to be just a common, like an instant bond. Like you can just, like you're not strangers. Like you can just talk. There's no embarrassment about your, struggles that your child has. It's just like a very easy conversation, and that's hard to have with a typical parents or a typical family. So I do love that. Like just provide an opportunity to talk to families, mothers, fathers who are like you.
And to also be able to show up to an event and not everybody looking at you about, why does your child do this? Why does your child have to be in a wheelchair? Why is, all of those things make it really hard for our families to go to other events, just because it's exhausting to answer those questions constantly and just feel like all eyes are always on their child and just watching. So I know we've heard that time and time again. We love events where we just feel normal instead of the odd ones out.
Yeah.
Mm. So why Spreading Sunshine? Why that name? Like
that's a great question.
That is like, when you walk outside, you want to see the sun. So why that name? It's such a powerful name.
Okay. So like I said, when I was pregnant with David, of course we didn't know, like it was just a normal pregnancy. We weren't expecting anything differently. And my daughter, Lily, was 3 at the time, and she nicknamed the baby Sunshine. And so, like, when I was pregnant, we called him Sunshine. And then he was born, and we faced, all these unknown and scary medical diagnoses. And one night, I was feeding him, and I came across the idea of a Sunshine box on Pinterest. And it was just a way... Well, the box was actually going to a medical family, and it was just a cherry box with orange and yellow items in it. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. So it's a way to give back, and it's also like in honor of our little Sunshine. So we sent the first box to a little girl having her 4th open heart surgery. Like I took my kids, and we shopped for it. And then we sent a second box to a mother who had received an unknown or an unexpected Down syndrome diagnosis. And I posted about it on social media, and it just took off. So here we are.
Okay. So I love the fact that you created something positive along with the Lord, and you're giving back to the community. Why do you think it's so important for people to use what they feel like is pain and turn it into something good?
Well, I think the Lord uses difficult circumstances to mold us and refine us and to produce fruit. And so I tell everybody that Spreading Sunshine is the Lord's project, because it was I never intended for it to be anything more than just sending 1 or 2 sunshine boxes to people who were, having a hard time. So I don't know, like, it's really humbling to see what the Lord has done with just, He's been good to me and has blessed me, and so I wanted to do that for others, and I believe that's what the Bible teaches. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's what I would say.
Absolutely. So when it comes to your son, Mr. Sunshine.
That's right.
And he is Sunshine.
And now I was going to ask, so how is he? Because I know at this point you're not just spreading boxes of sunshine. You're actually spreading your sunshine, your son. So how is he? How's his personality? How has he grown since everything has happened?
Okay, well, he turned 13 on May the 4th, and he is just full of personality and just cracks jokes all the time. He's crazy about his mama. He loves me to death. Of course, he loves his daddy too, but he calls me his precious, my princess. Mm-hmm. Tells me I'm beautiful, all the things. He's a charmer. Yeah. So, it's definitely challenges, but he brings so much joy and happiness to our lives.
Absolutely. How has he impacted you?
I just love David. He is the embodiment of fun. You are never going to have a bad time if David's around. He brings the fun and the sun wherever he goes, because he's just joy.
And the sass. He's going to be sass.
I don't necessarily see as much of that, but he's just so fun and loves life, mm-hmm, and lives it to the fullest.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So talk to me about, I guess it's called Year of Sunshine. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about that and its details.
I'll speak to it a little bit, and then Gina may be able to fill in. So originally we sent the first sunshine box. So in the very beginning of the program, that was the first thing we did. We sent sunshine boxes to children who had, who were medically fragile. But then since then, we've developed a Year of Sunshine, and I'll let
So our Year of Sunshine is a 12-month program, starts in January, goes through December. Each family gets boxes every single month, and each month it's a little different. So May is our Mother's Day box, and we love on the moms. June is a super fun family fun box, and it's the goal of the entire year is to create opportunities for these families to make memories together and to have fun. And so by the end of the year, every single family member has been touched with a box and has gotten something. And then my favorite part of the program is every single family gets assigned a volunteer care partner. And those care partners reach out at least a couple times a month and check to see how the family's doing, how we can be praying as an organization for them, if there's anything going on that we can step in and help with, and just loving on them and giving them a listening ear. So I love that part. I think that's the most special part of the whole program, is just giving these parents an outlet to share some struggles and just know that someone cares and is listening.
Absolutely. How many families do you all normally have signing up for your program?
So this year we have 35 families across 16 different states. And every year it just depends. So every family that comes into Spreading Sunshine this year through application, they will be invited to the 2027 Year of Sunshine program. Now they do have to fill out an application, and then we take those applications and that's how we decide how many families there are going to be. So it all depends on how many families come in and how many respond to the invitation.
And then how do people sign up and get involved? As in obtaining the application, filling it out.
We get referrals from current families. We get referrals from social workers and nurses, and then just some people just find us online. So it just depends.
Okay. What do you want people to be aware of when they see you all serving, when they see, this segment? What do you all want them to know and keep in mind concerning you all?
Like,
Go ahead.
I think for me it would be how easy and tangible it is to come alongside these families and helping our organization. You don't have to make a big, I guess, splash to like love on these families and like show them that you care. So, I love our organization because it's just an easy, tangible way to come alongside and serve families, and it's easy to become involved. And then, of course, organizations don't run without financial contributions, so that's also always a need.
I think for me, it's just a reminder to everyone that every person is made in the image of God. And no matter if someone looks or sounds different than you, they are also made in God's image and worthy of honor and worthy of love. And so to me, it's stepping into those families and making sure that they understand that and that they feel that love from us, but ultimately from the Lord.
Absolutely. Last question for you all. What is 3 words you will say that describes the organization and the impact that you all make on these families?
3 words.
Okay, I would probably say
Fun.
Yeah, I
Fun.
was gonna say sunshine.
Yeah.
Ministry.
Yeah. And love.
Love. Yeah, I was gonna say love.
Yeah.
Sunshine, ministry, and love.
Yeah, I think I like it.
All right. Well, we'll take it. You've heard it here with Miss Abigail and Miss Gina. If you want to sign up for Spreading Sunshine, how can people get involved?
You can go to our website, spreading-sunshine.org, and there's all sorts of ways to get involved.
All right. You've heard it here with the segment of Red, White, and You, and we'll see you next time. I'm Alicia Renee, ABC 24 News.